Hey, Chris, thanks for coming down to join us today. We have the CEO of Paysa coming to visit. If you could, before we jump into it, because we know all about Paysa, but I don't think our audience does, if you could maybe give us a quick high-level overview.
Sure. Paysa is a employee-side career platform. We have designed Paysa to help employees understand what their market value is today and to give them the tools to go out and achieve that, as well as to build on that value.
One of the exciting things for us was figuring out how we might manage all that different state. So because you do have essentially different user types, a user who has logged in, a user who hasn't logged in, a user who's logged in and filled out some information, and then a user who's logged in and has filled out everything.
Right.
That means the actual state of what the application delivers to that end user is dynamic and changes based on what we know.
Right.
And so that meant that from a design challenge standpoint, we really had to kind of look at the problem in a lot of different ways, a lot of different angles, and see, if I only gave you this, what do I see? Is there something that I can actually surface that's useful here?
Right.
And I think that was one of the big challenges.
Yeah.
How do you think that went?
I think net, I think it went well. We're really proud of the experience that you helped us design. I think it represents kind of the vision of what we wanted to accomplish as a collective group, for Paysa. And I think beyond that, when we we're again a very data-driven group. When we think about the KPIs for the site and how users are using it, those KPIs are great. So we're seeing everything kind of go up and to the right, not only top-line traffic, but also engagement on the profile, sign-ups, engagement in job recommendations, skill recommendations. All these things continue to kind of move in the right direction. And so for us, it's stepping towards that vision of really helping people and steer and navigate that career in a data-driven way. And I think ZURB was instrumental in helping bringing that vision to life.
Yeah, so early on in the project, when we first kicked off, in fact, you were really making sure that we understood that one of the bigger goals of this project was to marry the art and the science of the actual application. And what I think you meant by that was you have what is really a strongly data-driven app. There's a lot of big data behind it.
Right.
But there was this important step of making sure that it's not just some obfuscated algorithms and mathematics. It's actually something that anyone can pick up and use and understand.
Yeah, it's really important. The consumer use obviously is critical to our success. We at our heart are a data-driven company. We've got millions of salary data points, millions of profiles, millions of companies and jobs, and we don't want to just put charts and graphs up for people. We need a really strong user kind of interaction points to help guide people through the process and to put a face on all this data in a usable way, which is where we really relied on ZURB to really help guide us through that process to develop something that consumers could interact with and trust and believe and rely on. We have a philosophy that's very consumer employee sided. So we start first with that, and we want to be the first to give. We are a very mission-driven group, and we really want to make sure that everyone's able to use this system to the best of their abilities and take advantage of everything it has to offer. Now, the reality is that I need to know as much as possible, or Paysa needs to know as much as possible about you or about that employer, about that user, because knowing that information, I can then make good decisions or good recommendations about what you should do with your career. Like the less I know, the less informed I am about how to recommend or what to recommend to you. But the philosophy that we have is we'll give first, and then as you give a little, we'll give more, and walk down that ladder. And it's worked out pretty well. And I think it's one of the things for ZURB that we were really zeroed in on, which is how do we build that experience with the consumer? How do we get them to give us the information that we need free, but it's still a lot of information in a way where it didn't disrupt the experience, where it was added to the experience, and in a way that they understood what the value was that they were going to get back.
Thanks for coming out and chatting with us.
Sure.
It was awesome working together. Awesome to have you in here again
me too.
to kind of talk about the work afterwards. And I recommend you guys go check it out. It is literally a smart portfolio for your career. I was looking at it again with the new live stuff right before we jumped into this interview today, and I just realized I need to go ask my boss for more money.
Do it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.